This is Paul Thomas, Senior Editor of Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Magazine and PharmaManufacturing.com. I'm here at Interfex 2009 talking today with Len DeCandia, and Len is the Executive Associate with Akrimax Pharmaceuticals. Len, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Paul. Nice to talk.
And Len, for those not too familiar with Akrimax, the company is about a year old, but it really has a rich history. Give us a summary of the history of Akrimax.
Well, Akrimax is the genesis of an acquisition from Akrimax of the Wyeth facility in Rouses Point, New York. It's a significant manufacturing facility that's been there for 70 years. And it has a tremendous record in terms of its quality and its regulatory history. But more importantly, it has a terrific workforce. A workforce that's very stable, very rich in knowledge as it relates to the manufacture of pharmaceutical products and the many technologies that Wyeth has put in there through the years. So for us at Akrimax Pharmaceuticals, we saw a tremendous asset in the people and in the processes that are there in Rouses Point. And for us, our business plan moving forward is to find those strategic partners who have the same respect and the same needs for the value that a site like that could present. So ultimately, we're in the middle of a transition period right now with Wyeth. That transition period is about 2 years. At the end of that transition period, we'll continue to be a strategic supplier and a strategic source for Wyeth. And our hopes are we'll be able to find 3 to 4 more strategic partners to help to leverage the value of the facility and the technologies that are available in the facility.
And you mentioned the workforce. You've got a willing, talented workforce already. What about the management of Akrimax? Who are you in terms of management?
Well, I think we are a bunch of pharma guys. We've been around the industry for a long, long time. A lot of us have been fortunate to have grown up in some very good companies. Companies like Johnson & Johnson and Hoffman LaRoche and Mylan Pharmaceuticals. And so through those decades of experiences and learning, we've learned all about best practices and about stellar reputations and the quality of leveraging a facility like Rouses Point. And so our hopes are, at this stage of our career, to be able to do a couple of things. Probably most importantly, to continue to have technology and manufacturing excellence for pharmaceutical products in the United States. For us who started our careers in manufacturing, like myself as a process engineer, you don't see many opportunities like that for young people who want to get into the industry and want to be able to really learn from the roots up what the industry is all about. And obviously the second piece is we live in a changing world right now. And as my career evolved, I was chartered with having to do more outsourcing for my company. We went around the world to do some of that outsourcing. And I'm not saying it's not a good thing to continue to do, but when you're in a climate of today's world where security and confidentiality are very, very important to pharmaceutical companies, we're looking for those strategic partners who are really interested in developing some of their more sophisticated processes with us. And they know that they can have a good continuity of supply, they won't be at the risk of a changing regulatory environment, and obviously at the risk of economic conditions like political stable governments as well as exchange rates. So with us, it's continuity supply, it's security, it's being able to have your people travel within the United States on some of these more sophisticated development projects.
Let me follow up on that just a little bit. Are you seeing then more of an interest in a company like yours because you are located here in the United States, and are you seeing a trend out there to maybe hesitate about automatically going overseas to outsource and maybe looking at a company like yours instead?
We are, Paul, and I think a lot of the early outsourcing was done with more mature products which were not as sophisticated to manufacture. And I think companies were comfortable with that. When you start to get into the areas where we have expertise, like controlled release, like high potent products, also when you're dealing with elements such as the schedule products and being able to handle narcotics, I think our clients and prospective clients are very interested in manufacturing those more sophisticated products in an environment where they can trust the quality and the regulatory practices, as well as being able to supply in market, specifically because of the importance of the North American market for a lot of these global companies. And our clients are globally US based, and our company are globally outside US based. And so for them, it represents a very low risk introduction to in-market manufacturing as well. And because of the amount of investment and the technologies that are there, we've been a bit surprised by our ability to be competitive on the cost standpoint as well. That was something that's been a unique and for me a very exciting opportunity moving forward.
Well, what are some of your core competencies? You just mentioned a few of them, but you really do a broad range of manufacturing and development things.
Sure, we can handle some heavy volumes in fluid bed technologies and encapsulation and resin coating. Obviously, we can handle as high as class 4 in some of the scheduled products. We do have vault capabilities. We do have a unique layout in terms of flow of product and flow of people in the facility to handle the high potent products as well. So oral solids that fit that formula is our sweet spot. We also do some liquids, so we can do suspension products and resin-coated suspension products as well.
You mentioned supply chain earlier, and I know that you have experience in that area.
Right.
And obviously supply chain issues are, I should say, they're concerns that people have as soon as they begin to outsource and as soon as they begin to partner with contract manufacturers such as yourselves. What are your clients' major concerns, and how do you address those concerns?
So you're right, I've been spending a long time in supply chain, and I think some of the early challenges in supply chain were a lot of manufacturers are deciding what assets to keep and what assets to divest in terms of core capabilities. And so we went out and we made a lot of decisions when we were sourcing around cost, and also around those products that we felt were no longer in our portfolio of products to manufacture in our own manufacturing sites. I think now a lot of companies are looking at the issues of continuity of supply, of risk management, of continuity of not only supply, but continuity and understanding knowledge and expertise. They're asking some of their key people to travel to different places around the world to help with those development activities. So they're concerned about personal risk as well. And so what we're finding is people are looking at their portfolio and their portfolio of sources, and they're fundamentally saying, I need a balance between being able to source products from around various markets. I also need to be able to source my more sophisticated products in an environment that my own people, who are critical to the evolution and development of those products, are comfortable with who they're working with and where they're traveling to do that. And for us, those relationships are very deep because we do have the capabilities on our own end relative to our experience of being able to handle the more sophisticated technologies and be able to do the co-development activities and be able to support those products through development phases, clinical supply, right up through commercialization. So for us, strategic alignment, cultural alignment, wanting the same outcomes for our clients as for ourselves because of our own reputations. We're not going to put our reputations at risk. We're not going to put the reputation of a facility that's been there for 70 years with a workforce that's dedicated and lives every day for the reputation of that organization at risk at all. We want those deep relationships, and we'll walk away from those relationships that don't have that same level of investment. But we've been fortunate. As a new entity, in the path of evolution around this, we do have 2 or 3 relationships we're going pretty deep on already, and about 3 or 4 in the pipeline, and obviously looking for more that really understands who we are, what we want to be, and want to help us shape who we want to be going forward. It's interesting, when you're able to build relationships in the early stages of evolutions of an organization, you can help shape who they are. Because our needs right now are our clients' needs, and so to be able to meet those needs, we're very flexible in being able to align our capabilities and our processes around those needs.
And I know that you've been talking with partners and potential partners, and you can't share all of that information with us, but can you tell us a little bit about your successes so far? How is Akrimax doing in terms of partnering?
I think our successes have been very interesting because we've covered both ends of the spectrum and in between. So we've been able to go deep on a partnership with products as straightforward as an OTC product with a high volume, which was an area where we were very pleased because it showed us not only were we able to compete at a quality level, we were able to compete at a cost level. We're going deep with a partner who's in the late stages of development around a very custom and a unique process. And so what we represent is not only the ability to develop that process, but the ability to maintain confidentiality and security around the unique natures of those products and grow with them from clinical supply right up through commercialization. So with that spectrum and with a couple of clients in between, it's helping us better shape our way of doing business, because we want to be able to work within the boundaries, and those are pretty broad boundaries, and still be successful for our clients and for ourselves.
Well, great. Len, thanks so much for talking with us today, and good luck, obviously, to Akrimax, and we'll keep in touch with you and see how you're doing 6 months and a year from now.
A pleasure. Appreciate you taking the time to meet with us.
Sure.
Thank you.